Puss in Boots: The Last Wish is the most heartfelt movie I've seen in years. I absolutely adore this movie.
I think about this every day.
I didn't get a chance to catch this movie in theaters during its premiere run, and I'm so ashamed I missed it because this movie is way too good. Many of my friends told me to watch this movie as soon as it came out, and everywhere I turned, new video essays week after week about how good this movie was were on my YouTube feed. So after a couple of months, I sat down to watch this movie, and man, it hit me like a ton of bricks. This movie stunned me with how beautifully written it was. It made me feel something for the characters, and I left the film with a newfound appreciation for my life and how overlooked each second of the day is. I appreciate how this movie didn't cater just to kids or talk down to them. Yeah, there are funny animals, wild animation, etc., but there is so much for adults here. How living life to the fullest shouldn't be taken for granted, how arrogance clouds judgment, and how scary it is to commit to someone you love for the rest of your life. Man. Although I could talk about how ravenously beautiful the animation is for like 30 minutes, which I could. In this delicious take, I want to review a scene in this movie that left a lasting impression on me and how I viewed the film overall. The Stop and Smell the Roses scene is a perfect allegory for living life and overcoming arrogance through each of the characters, such as Puss, Perrito, Jack, and Goldilocks. It is a brilliant scene combining all the characters we know, how each overcomes this obstacle and what they learn from it. To start this video accurately, I want to analyze the character who truly enjoys living every day they're alive. I had two main fears when I came into this movie. One, it wasn't going to live up to the hype everyone said it was, and two, Perrito being the most annoying side character in cinema history, like Raya and Raya and the Last Dragon. After watching The Last Wish, I can proudly say both fears didn't come true. Perrito was a phenomenal character who helped his friends whenever they needed it and lived his life with a passionate optimism I've rarely seen in movie characters. He was the kind of comic relief character that wasn't solely used to do dumb things or be the punching bag of jokes. His compassionate nature and giddy spirit were exceptionally infectious and made me smile whenever he was in a scene. As I stated in the intro, I want to analyze how each character relates to the Smell the Roses scene, and no other character perfectly encapsulates that scene than Perrito. Perrito's backstory is one that makes me feel genuine sadness. So when Perrito described how he was treated as a puppy, it genuinely hurt me to hear. Seeing such an optimistic character with such a sad backstory was tragic and left me wondering why he is the way he is. After watching the movie, however, it's clear that his intentions were laid out from the beginning, and the Roses scene depicts it to its fullest. While boasting such a tragic backstory, Perrito lives his life with a present mindset. He doesn't crave anything in the future or dwell on his relationships of the past. He is utterly content with his identity and is not greedy for selfish gain. Instead, he views the situations he's in as a grand journey he gets to experience. It is why he's the only one whose map reflects no turmoil compared to Puss or Softpaws, whose characters have such heavy baggage and character flaws. When it comes to the roses, Perrito's first instinct isn't to view the flowers as obstacles, but as innocent treasures to pass by and cherish. It may sound cliche that all you have to do is stop and smell the roses, but to me, I think it's pretty poetic. Given one of the harshest upbringings compared to the rest of the crew, this tiny dog can stop and enjoy his beautiful moment. He can look at these precious flowers and be engulfed in their beauty, making Perrito a compelling character. Many people in the real world are engulfed in constant stress, looking toward an end goal they may never see. Perrito doesn't degrade that mindset, but simply refers to the fact that the best thing to do in life is to look ahead and take your time with the goal you need to reach. His ability to continuously view things in a glass half full way separates him from the rest of the gang and shows his unique character to the audience. It's pretty touching to see a character not be blindly optimistic to the point of stupidity, but use his optimism to be happy with whatever situation he is put in. When Goldilocks and the bears captured him, he didn't get scared or lose hope, but learned to laugh and bond well with the family he was around. When Puss was done having a panic attack, Perrito listened to Puss's qualms and didn't make an unnecessary joke like Marvel or Disney would have done.
What do you think is coursing through my veins right now?
Cheese whiz?
But suggested poignant responses that could benefit Puss's character development. He's happy with whatever life throws at him, whether getting kidnapped or held hostage, or having to cross deadly flowers. Perrito will always be a character who stops to smell the roses because he is in no rush to get where he needs to be and is content with his journey. While Perrito exemplifies someone patient with their journey, the same cannot be said for Goldilocks and her mission to get the family she always dreamed of. Goldilocks struggles with being able to enjoy what she has right in front of her. Like Puss, Goldilocks lives in an arrogant, selfish mindset where she only looks out for herself instead of the people around her. Goldie has trouble appreciating what she has because her whole life she has wanted something entirely different. Goldie is the type of person to bypass the roses entirely and not see the beauty she could have seen if she had just slowed down and taken a second to look before her. She bottles up a lot of childhood angst for the hand she's been dealt. Her not being able to live that ordinary lifestyle has affected her mental health. A movie like this entertains a solid female character who displays her vulnerability. Goldie's vulnerability is a very intriguing aspect of this movie, where her character is even more in line with the roses. See, her exterior wall presents her as this badass, stoic, commanding persona, like how the roses are threats when you try to attack them at first, but when you take a moment to appreciate them, they let you in. Goldie has that same feature, where she lets down her walls of stoicism when around her bear family because she feels she can trust them. As much as she yearns for a real family, part of her knows that what's important to her is the family she's been spending time with all this time. It isn't until almost losing her sibling that it dawns on her the genuine familial connection she has right now in the present. It is altogether groundbreaking and gives the audience an introspective look at the inner turmoil Goldie faces, her constant pull in one direction for a wish that could alter her relationships with those that took her in as a kid versus the family she has always dreamed of.
No, I never had much as a kid. Just loving parents, and stability in a mansion, and a thriving baked goods enterprise for me to inherit.
Jack is a fascinating character in this movie because he's pure evil. Everything the man does, says, or acts are a ploy to either gain something, hurt someone, or manipulate them. The man is the epitome of all-time evil with no redeeming qualities. So how does this relate to the flower scene, you might add? He burns it to the ground. Let's just say Big Jack does not yearn for compatibility with anyone. All he wants to do in life is further gain power. His temptation for power does not involve taking time to appreciate what he has. He sees obstacles as nothing to learn from, but quick ways to demoralize and devalue them. Jack's backstory brings up how he was raised with two loving parents, a mansion, and everything a boy could ever dream of, yet he appreciates none of what he has. That is simply the kind of guy Big Jack Horner is. The guy who would rather expend 30 people to clouds of confetti than allow any of them to become his right-hand man. He's always viewed everything from a privileged mindset, which hasn't changed as he grew older. He views dangerous relics as trophies to keep for himself and would rather burn down a garden of roses than look at the people he has in front of him and appreciate the things he's amassed over his lifetime.
Who is your favorite fearless hero? Who is your favorite fearless hero?
Puss in Boots is the most emotionally invested character to follow in this movie. Sure, he is the main character, so it should feel that way, but the film does a great job of letting us believe he's the right person to follow. I've seen a lot of movies where the main character feels second in command to the more excellent side character, so it felt good to watch someone commanding on screen, and as an audience, go through a lot of his journey of arrogance to humble family man by the end of the film. As a fan of the Shrek series and seeing Puss introduced in Shrek 2, I would have had no idea that a spin-off series centered around his journeys would be a thing, let alone be this good. Opening the movie in a spit of vanity, Puss sings about how fearless he is, and how incredibly agile he is amongst death, which becomes an integral part later in the film. When he loses his 8th life and gets told by his doctor he only has one more to live, it's here that we learn how fragile and arrogant he's been. At first laughing at the thought of death, Puss finally takes into account how serious of a situation this is and actually becomes anxious about it, which puts him in an old age home for cats. It's touching because this movie does a great job of analyzing the theme of life. Where Puss was comfortable doing anything as long as he had a few more lives at stake, he didn't consider how precious each of those lives were. When tasked with finding the last wish, does Puss think about how vital living is on his journey with Softpaws and Perrito? When he stumbled upon the roses with Softpaws and Perrito, his first instinct was to fight them off. It's until Perrito stops to smell the roses that both realize how easy the task truly was. This scene may be one of the most development-churning scenes of the whole movie. Before, I mentioned how Perrito viewed everything with open eyes and patience. This scene shows how cruel, quick to fight, and harsh Puss is. He doesn't take his time to smell the roses or even look at them for their beauty first. His first instinct is to fight them off, which is a metaphor for how he views his previous lives. Puss never looked at his earlier lives with passion or graciousness, but only fought against them because he could count on other lives in the future. He never took his time to appreciate what was right in front of him, like his friends or the love of his life. He only loved one thing, his legacy and the status that came with it. If you paid attention to the Shrek movies, you can see how self-obsessed Puss is there too. It takes him until his last life, where he needs to stop and smell the roses to continue his journey and, metaphorically, his life. This is why death is such an antagonistic force to be reckoned with for Puss. We know why he's going after Puss, because he has seen him repeatedly die, acting like a fool each time he does. He's mad at Puss because all Puss has done over the years is act like a lunatic and never genuinely live each life he's got to the fullest. That's why he says,
I find the very idea of 9 lives absurd, and you didn't value any of them.
when Puss is confronted with his past lives on his journey, you notice his internal battle when trying to overcome himself. His previous lives play to the legacy Puss has created and taunt him with his vain endearments, like his famous song, and other things he's done in the past. It's here where we learn more about Puss's internal wants starting to shift compared to his previous lives. Everything he has learned and journeyed through has given him a new direction, like a future with Softpaws and Perrito. This lesson of learning to live in the moment and not overcomplicate it is done so well in this movie. Puss's arc from a self-centered prick to a genuine heartfelt character is so beautiful to see unfold. Puss's acceptance of learning to love others like Softpaws and Perrito and putting them before himself makes the ending of this movie so heartwarming and touching. His final battle against death to prove he genuinely wants to live is a very empowering moment for Puss. This film keeps the audience emotionally connected with the characters throughout the scene, like with Goldilocks, the bears, and especially Puss. He doesn't see himself viewing past lives, but only the one he's living right now, with the ones he cares about the most. It's a beautiful way to end the film, and all it took for the characters to get here was to stop and smell the roses. As I said before, this movie is absolutely fantastic. I love every aspect of this film. The voice actors do a phenomenal job expressing their characters, like Antonio Banderas, and especially Wagner Moura, who brings death with such a grimacing voice. The Spider-Verse era for animation is the best time to be an animation fan. I love watching animated movies push the boundaries of their creative freedoms, just like this one did. Looking at this movie, it is goddamn beautiful. It seems surreal, with each landscape having its own distinct look and feel. I think it's cool to see the Pixar era of animation start to fade away a little bit. Instead of the uncanny valley of looking too real, studios are now open-minded to making animated movies with unique styles, like The Mitchells vs. the Machines, or the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie coming out this year. I want all of you to take a brisk hour and 42 minutes to watch this literal masterpiece of a film, because you will not regret it. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, and remember to subscribe. It means the world you guys are still here with me for each video I release. I'll see all of you in the next one. Take care. Peace out.